The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
John Mousinho felt his side could have earned a point in their 2-1 defeat at Ipswich Town yesterday. Jayden Philogene had given the Blues an early lead, but Min Yock Yang found himself in space with a chance to level just after the half-hour mark, only for Town stopper Alex Palmer to smother his shot. And Mousinho said that was the difference in the game. "We are not going to take every chance, but certainly a chance as clear-cut as that we created. All of a sudden it's not 1-1 and you go 2 down, he insisted after the match. That showed the ruthlessness Ipswich had with some of the players they've got, and it then left us too much of a mountain to climb. I'm disappointed with the result, obviously. If you contrast the two halves, we took too long to get going, and it took us going a goal down to settle in the game. After that, there wasn't a huge amount in it. The timing of the second goal was really disappointing. The big takeaway is we waited to go 2 goals down, to actually play, to actually show we are not a bad side at all. After the second half, we were a lot better, much improved. It was a really decent 45 minutes, and we got the goal too late, ultimately. You come away to a place like this, a fantastic side we are playing against, and there is a bit of frustration and disappointment that we didn't come away with, at least with the point." Mousinho concluded, "The fact we're frustrated to lose against a side that have come down from the Premier League and have spent more on one of their substitutes than we have on our whole squad, which they've earned the right to do, shows we're getting there." Pompey skipper Marlon Pack, who got a late consolation for the away side, echoed his manager's thoughts. "There were opportunities for us in the game against a side that's very good at this level," he stressed. "The message for us is just to have more belief in what we're doing, because we look good when we press with intent and purpose. Once we got those openings, then we need to be a bit cleaner in the final third. That extra bravery is needed, so we'll come away disappointed not to get something from the game. We gave it a go, although it's easier to do that when you're 2-0 down."
There seem to be quite a few fans, vocal, who are disappointed with the performance and very disappointed, obviously, with the result. Well, you can be disappointed with the result, but we think that John Mousinho's got it right. Against the side that were playing the Liverpools and the Manchester Uniteds, not terribly successfully, admittedly, last season, a squad which has been shed of £100 million worth of players and reinforced with nearly £60 million worth of players, you would expect to give a seriously good game to a side that's been assembled on a shoestring and has won 2, drawn 2 and lost 2 of their first 6, is it? Or is it we've lost 7 now? 3 now, of 7. Well, that's a much better start than last season, and it's about the same as Ipswich's start, and they are a much better, in terms of pedigree anyway, a much better squad than we've got. So there's plenty of consolations to be taken from the performance, but I think, and this is only my personal view, quite a few people, fans particularly, are suffering from a hangover of the Sheffield Wednesday disappointment. I've talked to 1 or 2 fans who were absolutely purple with anger about the performance against Sheffield Wednesday. The performance against Ipswich was 10 times better, but nevertheless, the club are getting some stick. And 1 or 2 people, the pessimists, are frightened that we are spiralling downwards. Well, Watford is going to be a good test because they are not a multi-million pound, almost multi-billion pound outfit, but they spend much more than we do. However, we've got them at home. We want to get our Fortress Fratton back, and we want 3 points, and there's an expectation. Hopefully the players will share the expectation and the confidence to come out and give it their all from the get-go, which is becoming a bit of a theme with John Mousinho, and it doesn't seem to be somehow sinking in for whatever reason. Well, fingers crossed. Let's hope that, is it Wednesday night, the Watford game, we start to turn things round from this little mini, tiny slump, if it's that.
Pompey fell to a 2-1 defeat against early Championship favourites Ipswich Town on Saturday afternoon. Kieran McKenna believes Ipswich Town were dominant during the 2-1 triumph against Pompey. Although the Tractor Boys boss concedes his side were lucky to get away with sloppy errors, with the Blues not clinical enough, the hosts got off to a fast start at Portman Road, with Jayden Philogene opening the scores just 10 minutes into the contest. Despite John Mousinho's men battling back in the first period, Ipswich dealt Pompey a major blow on the stroke of half-time through George Hurst. The Blues did work their way back into the contest, with McKenna's men allowing the visitors time on the ball. Marlon Pack did head home a consolation to spark a late comeback, but Ipswich were able to hold on to the victory. And the Tractor Boys head coach believes the scoreline didn't reflect his side's dominant performance over Pompey. Kieran McKenna's verdict after Pompey triumph was, "It felt like it was a dominant performance," he told the East Anglian Daily Times. "We're still working on translating that to the scoreline, because we probably haven't done that in too many of our games. We can still be more clinical when we're on top." And there was a period in the first half where we had a couple of sloppy moments that would have allowed them, if they had been clinical, would have been really out of kilter with the flow of the game. So again, we need to improve on that. You don't always get the scoreline, but of course it's important to get the points.
Yeah, so what you've got is two young, promising managers. Well, they're already achieving. In fact, they're more than beyond promising. They are no longer promising. They are no longer men of potential. They are men of achievement. McKenna's perhaps eclipsing John Mousinho's marginally just for the time being. We'll see how that one plums out. Could turn into quite a useful little rivalry. However, you've got two perspectives on the game, with John Mousinho saying that he felt that Pompey deserved a point, could have had a point. Of those two, deserved a point. That's a strong. That should be subject to certain cross-examination, Your Honour. They were marginally better, we thought, but only marginally. But we still could have got a draw because we created opportunities, and we took a proper goal. We scored a proper goal, and it finished 2-1. And there's not a lot in a 2-1. So. McKenna, however, on the other side of the fence, is saying that it felt like a dominant performance. But he also points out that he said that they were sloppy and that they allowed us to create some opportunities. So what would have been a fair score? You know what? I think 3-2 would have been a fair score. I can't think of where they would have got their third goal from, but I do think that 2-2, because they're two goals were well taken and kind of justifiable in that they were well taken. I can't remember there having a third opportunity that was as good as a couple of the opportunities that we had and didn't finish. So perhaps that is the difference between the two teams. They finished, certainly the guy who finished their first effort really picked his spot and bent it so superbly so that the keeper couldn't really get anywhere near it. So it was a really good clinical finish. And that, funnily enough, as John Mousinho says elsewhere, that sparked a bit of a revival in Pompey. And for the second half of the first half, Pompey, I think it's fair to say, pretty much almost matched Moneybags Ipswich. However, all in all, both managers saying what you expect them to say, both managers wanting to make sure that their team develop and learn things from that match. And as Pompey sound, we have to say that, once again, it wasn't that bad a performance and it wasn't that bad a result, considering who they are and that we were away and that we were coming off the back of a pretty poor performance, which came off the back of an excellent performance. So this is what the top half of the championship, which is where we'd like to be, this is what it's all about. We can beat anybody, but we can also lose to anybody. Let's hope the Watford game is the former of those two. Commentating for the BBC, you can just hear that Guy Wittingham is not only a legendary Pompey goal scorer and a man who must be listened to when it comes particularly to the business of finishing, he is also an enormous Pompey fan. Here he is, still in hurt, immediately after the game.
Look, I think before the Sheffield Wednesday game, everyone said, no, I think we're going to be able to feel a lot more comfortable this season, but then it shows you what a difference a couple of weeks make, doesn't it? A defeat to Sheffield Wednesday, defeat here today, some players missing. Yes, Lang was already missing, but Murphy goes out, Shaughnessy, in the keeper as well, Schmidt. So suddenly you're looking at it and thinking, where are these replacements coming from to give us a bit of an edge? When we come away to teams like Ipswich here, chances are going to be few and far between, and you need those people that create opportunities and finish those opportunities to be available for you. Or obviously at the other end, to make some decent saves. We've got used to Schmidt doing that, and his distribution. So yeah, at the moment, it's looking like it could be a tough season again.
I have to say that is absolutely spot on, isn't it? I mean, every word of that post-match analysis, and it was brief and to the point, is absolutely spot on. You've got to take your chances. And sometimes you can take your chances, and even if you're second best, you'll win the game. And we do have a problem already with injuries, all over again. This time, just as bizarre as some of the injuries that Shaughnessy was trotting across to collect a ball that had been punted forward, hopefully. And down he went. And not only down he went and is out for however long, short to medium term, what does that mean? Months, probably. And Schmidt as well, out for the old 8 till 12 weeks. And both of the replacements do their best, but they are not at the moment Schmidt. We've got no Lang. And we've been without Josh Murphy for the last couple of games. And these are 4 hugely key players. You know, each team, I think, has, however good or bad the team is, they have key players. And those are 3-4 of our absolute key players. Thank goodness that Marlon Pack got out there and reminded us that he, when he is on song, which is 99.9% of the time, he's a key player. And he brings something to Pompey that I don't think any other Pompey player can do. No matter how good they are at football, Pack brings something else. So we need him. So he's surely nailed on to start from now for a good period of time whenever he's fit. And wear the armband. But going back to square one on this particular news story, Guy Wittingham, absolutely spot on the money.